Hello, welcome back. We're the ones, A Walking Dead, the ones who live discussion podcast. So we are here to talk about the ones who live, the entire series, episodes 1 through 6, what we loved, what we wanted more of, our favorite episodes, our favorite scenes, all that good stuff. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to let everyone know that if you have a Goodreads account, to make sure you go to Goodreads and add Ashley's book to your want to read shelf. It's Ashley Jordan. It's what is it? Once Upon a Time in Dollywood? Is that the name
Title,
we're
yes.
sticking with? Yay.
Let's hope
Once
so.
upon a Oh no. Once Upon a Time in Dollywood. Ashley Jordan. So add that to your want to read shelf.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So overall, um, let's just talk about our feelings about the series. Overall, Ashley, what are your thoughts about the show?
Overall, I'm again very glad that this show exists. I'm so glad that we got a happy ending for Rishon. I remember when Rick left the show and they said that there would be these movies coming out, and that was 2018, and then a whole pandemic happened, and I just was not sure. And then, Michonne left the show during the height of or actually the beginning of the pandemic, and we just were not sure what was going to happen. So the fact that this has actually come to fruition and gave us literally everything we wanted. I'm really, really happy. I enjoyed it a lot. I love that we got to see so much of just Rashomon. Like, this is literally what I would have wanted from The Walking Dead 10 years ago. So the fact that we got this show focused on Rashomon, the intimacy that we had not gotten on The Walking Dead, the intricacies of their relationship, I think were just really, really well done. So overall, I loved it. I have minor quibbles, minor ones, you guys. Please do not come for me. They're minor. Just overall, I really, really enjoyed it. So we'll talk about that though.
Yes. Okay, Imani, how about you?
Um, Along the lines of Ashley, I'm happy that the show exists. I was very much same as Ashley, concerned that it wasn't going to happen. Very doubtful after a while, and even when I thought it was going to happen, I really didn't think they were going to give Michonne and Rick's relationship the due that I think it should have been accorded. I thought it was really just going to be about Rick and his adventures or whatever. And so when they did finally announce that they were going to do this Rick and Michonne thing, I was very excited. And I am less thrilled with what we ended up getting, but I am still happy we got it.
What do you mean by
So
less thrilled, like overall, or like as the season progressed?
as the season progressed, I think like it hit all of the feels that I was hoping for, like the Rashomon feels that I was hoping for. So kind of as Ashley said, if that was my criteria, which in some respects it was, I definitely got those things.
Hmm.
But if since that is not my only criteria for a great show, it
Hmm.
was not all I hoped for.
Okay. All right, good. So I think for me, along the same lines as you guys, the Rashomon feels it was everything. Like it hit everything you would want. You saw them disagree, you saw them come together, you saw the intimacy, you saw a different dynamic of the relationship. Like that was everything. It was great to see. Um, Overall, my thoughts on the show, I think liked it more than didn't.
Mhm.
Um, it's so hard though, because I also feel like I've done a bad job of distancing some of the fandom bullshit from
Mm.
the show,
The actual show, yeah.
the
Mhm.
actual show. And because I don't know, I mean, I did when you're in a bubble, because this is my first time really engaging in the fandom, and I was like, wow, I was missing a lot. And and I was okay missing a lot. But the show, I enjoyed the show. I did. And again, here's the other thing too. And you guys know me, we've, been around each other, we hung out. I am not over the top with some of my expressions when it comes to like, enjoying something. Like we were not horny on main for this show, right? We were not like, oh my God, we weren't like hyper, like little puppies running around peeing on the floor. Like that wasn't how we expressed our joy and excitement, right? We like it when we like something, we like it, we talk about it. And I feel like because we didn't perform our enjoyment a certain way, I think that kind of clouds people's thoughts about our enjoyment of it. Because, we always joke that, the infamous episode 4, if people had to guess who liked the episode the most, I don't think it's who they thought it is. We're just gonna move on from there. But speaking of episodes, let's rank the episodes. So if you had to rank the episodes, Imani, rank the episodes, the 6 episodes for us.
Okay. Coming in at number 1 is episode 1. Coming in at 2 is episode 4. After that, it gets a little cloudy. And so I had to do sudden death. After episode 4, it's episode 3, episode 6, episode 5, and episode 2.
Okay.
Interesting.
You almost took mine.
I mean, I was about to say the same thing because we purposely did not talk about this. Okay, so you said 1, 4, 3, 6, 5, 2. Okay. Yes. Ashley.
So my first 4 are the same, 1 and 4 up at the top. Then 3, and I'd put 6 and 2, and then 5 would be my last one. I hate Jadis in that episode, mostly because of her.
Okay, so same 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5. That's interesting. That we
maybe we are an echo chamber.
I guess so. Hello. We did not discuss, but we did not discuss this though. We purposely did not discuss this. I don't know. 1 just was like, it wasn't even close for me. I was like, I knew 1 was going to be my first one, right?
Yeah.
4, even though, people thought we hated it, I did not. Well, clearly none of us hated the episode. Yeah, I mean, I love, again, because we like drama and angst and messiness. I think that's why it was, in the top.
It gave all of that. Yeah.
It did.
I still am not sure what I don't know what we were giving when we discussed it.
I know.
But I loved it again. So yeah.
Hey,
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that's up there, but maybe other people will be.
Yeah, that angst and the drama and the sarcasm, the snarkiness, and then you had the makeup and oh yeah. Loved it. But okay. Well, since we're all kind of like on the same page, okay. It was those last 2 were 2 and 5, right? 2 was for you, was it your least favorite, Imani?
Yes.
Talk about it.
You're really trying to get me.
I mean, you could.
It's already happened. So
yeah, exactly. So, like,
I don't know if you're going to say anything you haven't already said, but
exactly. Well, I might say something I haven't already said. It just didn't work for me. As episode 2 of all the episodes, again, like the show, it was good in terms of the Michonne moments, particularly episode 2, the end with the Michonne moments, like the last 20 minutes of it, maybe 15 minutes of it. Everything, loved it. But those first, I don't know the 40 minutes just didn't work for me, like, at all. I understand that I'm supposed to have
Well,
had.
you didn't hate it because it was Michonne,
No, I didn't
right?
hate
Because
it
you
because
don't
it
hate
was.
Michonne.
No, because I do
Make
not
that
hate
clear.
Miss Stone. Like, yes, to be clear, it did not work for me because it did not do the work it was supposed to do. In my opinion, in telling Michonne's story. I needed more from that. And that's not Danai's fault. That's not Michonne's fault. That is the fault of the writing.
And you didn't want Michonne to go through more pain. You just wanted to see what she was going through.
I wanted it better explained so that I could take that journey with her. Um, and so that I could, so that, I, when in episode one, you take that 3-4 year journey with Rick of him trying and trying to get away and losing hope and that sort of thing. And again, I'm not saying it because I'm some person who loves like trauma porn or anything like that. I'm just saying that I need to in order to get into a place of empathy with the character, I need to see some of that stuff happening and it needs to be explained to me. I don't need to see Michonne hacking up her lung. I need to see enough of her time in the mall so that I don't keep forgetting that when Nate dies, part of the reason she's
Nat.
so upset is because Nat, excuse me, when Nat dies, part of the reason she's so upset is because she's known him a year. And I had to keep remembering that. She knew him for a year at that point. But because the way that they portrayed the passage of that time was just so sort of lackluster and sort of, like we got to see her struggling through push-ups a couple times and got to see them having like a piece of like maybe two conversations.
Mm.
I didn't remember that. Like I had to keep remembering that. Like that this is not a few days, a week, especially knowing Walking Dead. This is not just, a couple weeks after they met on the wagon train. This is a whole full year later where all they had for company was each other.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't feel that viscerally. It shouldn't just be something that I have to intellectualize. And the fact that that didn't work for me shows to me for me that that part of the episode didn't work. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. And
Right.
that's why, and since that was the 2/3 of that episode doesn't work for me.
Right.
Period.
Okay. You mentioned episode one, and episode one is the favorite for all of us. Like, what, and you mentioned seeing Rick's journey and having that empathy because they just showed it so well. What else was it about that episode that made it your number one?
I think I think I was surprised. I mean, I think I had such low expectations for what episode one was going to be that
Mhm.
there was nowhere to go kind of but up. So that's another thing was, and then they did such a good job of answering all the questions that I had. I had questions that, I detailed. You want to know what they were, go back to the preview, one of our preview episodes. But I had all these questions about where Rick was, why he couldn't come back, how long had it been? I mean, they fudged with that a little bit, but why he hadn't even attempted, well, in my mind, even attempted to come back, like that sort of thing. And they explained all of that really well and with pathos, right? So you really feel for him. Like you end that episode feeling like he feels like he cannot escape. That episode does what it's supposed to do.
Right. Anything you wanted to add to that, Ashley? About episode one? Why is your number one?
Yeah, same reason. It wasn't I had low expectations. I just had no expectation. I had no idea what we were gonna get from this show. So, and I think it also helped that I saw episode 1 with a bunch of Walking Dead fans, so it was just very exciting. Um, but yeah, that really exceeded anything that I could have even imagined, and I was very glad that the explanation of why he'd been gone for so long did make sense. And yeah, I think Okafor was also a big part of why that episode worked so well, and just the surprise element of it, which I think the first half of the show gave us more than the latter half, which might be also why those are higher in our rankings. But yeah, it was just surprising in a very, very good way.
Yeah, it seemed to do a lot of heavy lifting. Because if you watched our preview episodes, we just couldn't get away from why did he not make it back?
Yeah.
Especially if you saw The World Beyond, and you saw these kids who'd never left outside the walls, like topple CRM, and it's like, okay, well, Rick, these
What you
kids
been
got
doing?
away. What's the problem? So when we got episode 1, it's like, oh yeah, like we've said it before, they hit it out the park with episode 1 as far as establishing a realistic reason for why he hadn't made it home yet. So it's
Mhm.
great. Ashley, your least favorite was the Rashone heavy episode 5. Talk
No,
about
it
it.
was a Jadis heavy episode 5.
There's
I
a
love the
lot of
Rochelle moment.
Rashone.
There was, and it's the only reason that I'm okay with the episode. It's still my least
Mhm,
favorite because of Jadis. The Rochelle was very good. Like they had a lot of really cute moments, and we got a proposal. So it
mhm.
is not completely bad, but it feels like a return to The Walking Dead. Whereas the rest of the show didn't really feel like that. This felt like a Walking Dead episode that would have maybe been higher end. Like I wouldn't hate it if it were a Walking Dead episode because it was The Ones Who Live. I was like, I just Jadis is possibly the worst thing that happened to this show. If Scott Gimple hadn't given us Michonne, I would never forgive him for Jadis because that's how much I hate that character. And so to have so much focus on Gabriel, who I could not care less about, I was just like, we have the time we have left with Rashone is precious. And there is a lot to resolve with the CRM stuff. And as we will see, we could have used some of that time elsewhere. So Jada is taking up so much space, just really upset me. And I also just don't think that her ending, I don't think she deserved that ending. I think we should, well, I am. I feel like Rashone deserved to be more upset with her about what she took from them. And I don't think she deserved the grace they gave her. So
I
that
don't
part
agree with
just
that.
really, really annoyed me.
I and I feel like particularly the Father Gabriel part, I felt like we could have done without that. I do think um there was a need to see Jadis before she died in a way because she was the reason, a huge reason why he was away from his family. So to see her kind of come to her end was necessary, but I could have
Yes.
done without Gabriel, and I also wanted Michonne to kill her. So her getting bit
Yes.
and Rick giving her some mercy shot, I was like, no.
Mm-mm.
And I agree about the whole thing about the grace. Why? Like she was evil to the very end until, maybe she started seeing the white light or something. And then suddenly she got a little softer. But she was evil to Rick. And I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna make sure,
And she tried to
everyone you
kill them in
love
the episodes.
dies. Yeah. And I'm
Like,
just like, why are you no, you don't need to this whole redemption thing they like to try and do. I'm
yep,
not with it. I'm not
classic
with it.
Walking Dead,
She
which I
didn't
do not
need a
like.
redemption at all. So yeah, I was fine with Jadis. I was not fine with her, the grace they gave her this like little mini redemption they tried to do, and I wasn't with that at all. Um, I almost feel like okay, we talked about one, um, and I do want to talk about 4 again because why not?
Oh
But
gosh.
but why I want to talk about why it was a good episode. Right, and the things that we liked about it. I mean, I went into it a little bit and I talked about, the angst, but it was beyond that. It was the emotions, it was, the feelings, it was the you're not always on the same page. And typically that's what we saw with Rashon in The Walking
Mhm.
Dead. They were always on the same page, but even when they weren't on the same page, there was that respect, and it was like, hey, we're not on the same page, but still love you, still got your back. And to
Yes.
see them in this way, and it felt so like, you felt like you were watching a moment that you shouldn't have been watching, right? Like there's like this private moment between these two people. And I think going back to Imani with episode 2, I think the reason why in episode 3 and 4, I think at least for me, that I was so like, I guess like viscerally seemed like I was just on Rick's side, is because we got to see what he had been through in such a great way. And it was so just like heartbreaking. And then I'm just like, I just, had so much sympathy for him. So in that moment, even though, yes, Michonne has gone through her trials and tribulations. Yes, she has been in pain. Yes, she almost died. She had to recuperate for, a year. She finally finds him, and oh, this isn't, like she said, is not how I thought it was going to be. And I imagine there's even some feeling of rejection from
Mhm.
Rick.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
not just because he said, "Oh, it's broken. What we had is broken." I mean, she saw through that bullshit, I think. But
Mhm.
but yeah, you risk, and you risk time, you risk your life and time with your kids, and he's not on board. And so she went through all of this, and I think one of the things that was so, I was feeling was that even if your feelings, even though you can understand where someone is coming from, it doesn't make their actions okay. It didn't make her approach the correct approach. And it never was. And that was the thing that I was looking at. And
Mhm.
I kind of think about it like, if roles were reversed, Ashley,
Girl.
if
Listen,
Rick shows up and Michonne has one hand and she's been struggling and she's got PTSD and trauma,
missing for 8 years.
missing for 8 years, like,
I would still be cursing Rick out if he had talked to Michonne like that. Y'all don't know how much grace I gave Michonne, because any other character, if that had been Michonne and they approached it that way, they would never hear the end of it. I absolutely understand why Michonne felt the way she did,
Mhm.
but I am also looking at it from Rick's side. As he said, I gave up my hand for you. He's been alone all these years. At least Michonne did have her kids and had this community. He had nobody. And the idea that anyone could not see where he's coming from was what was kind of what the angle that we were looking at it from is like, this isn't weird to us. It makes sense that he feels this way, I think. And so, yeah, if it had been Michonne in that position and Rick was standing there yelling at her, mm, I would have had to go kill him in one of my stories or something. I don't know.
Oh no.
I I think it's worth also saying, which goes to something I think that we probably will discuss soon, is also that episode 1 again did
Yeah.
such a good job of presenting the CRM to us. Like we already sort of like lightly introduced to CRM, not even lightly. We were introduced to the CRM in World Beyond. For anybody who watched World Beyond, we had light introductions to CRM in the flagship, and also Fear, if you watched any of Fear. But this really showed us the inner workings of the CRM, how it works, how it was that Rick was against against a force that he wasn't going to be able to beat, at least not on his own and stuff. And so for him to have been in this situation, and we have gone through some of that with him, right? So we have that empathy. And then for Michonne to like show up and be like, we're gonna beat them and you're gonna run away with me. And it seemed very like, this is not a problem, where his presence there for 8 years shows you that it is a problem. Like CRM is a problem. And for me, speaking for myself alone, it was just very difficult for me. I mean, again, like Ashley was saying, like you were saying, it's very easy to understand where Michonne is coming from, but she's also what 3 days into her dealings with the CRM, like understanding how the CRM works and stuff. Like she doesn't know. She's not been there. She wasn't a consignee for 6 years. She didn't see how large the facility. I mean, she saw how large the facility is, but she doesn't know how deep it runs. I mean, when she first got there, she didn't know about Cascadia. So she didn't even know that there were other outposts and stuff like that. So this is a huge machine that Rick is like a small cog in, but a cog that they won't allow to be removed. And her like not understanding that for me as a viewer was sort of frustrating because I know, like
Right.
Rick knows. So
Yeah.
my sympathies are with him in that instance, even though I can see where Michonne is coming from. And I feel like Rick could see where she was coming from too. And I think ideally he would like to go, which is what he was saying. You think that I don't, know what's going on or want to come with you, but it's like he can't. He cannot see his way to doing this, which is why it made him do like the stupid thing with the escape boat and that sort of thing. Like he's trying to like come up with a plan, and it's poor. His planning is poor because he's not the brains of the operation, but his wife is. But
I mean, he cut off his hand for no reason. So
okay, so like that is why, and it's not that my sympathies are with him. I just understand that. I understand
right.
more, and I see what a great obstacle that is. Whereas Michonne's point of view, I get it, but it didn't feel realistic to me.
She didn't have the knowledge that Rick had,
Exactly.
and or the knowledge that we have. We as the
Yeah,
audience, we see all these things that she does not see and she does not know.
exactly.
So yeah.
That's part of it. Yes.
What's the
Well,
other
I mean,
part?
The other
Well,
part of it is that she was not acting. I mean, she was frustrated. She was hurt. And
Mhm.
that's what she was speaking. That was the place she was speaking from in some cases.
yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
And
So
I think we said this in episode 4. So I don't
I think
I don't know how it was meant.
we were
But
not passionate, and I don't think the word count was equal and balanced in our discussions about Michonne
okay, let's move on.
understanding where she came from.
I can't.
I'm just trying to translate. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. So um let's talk about, Danai and Andy and Scott. But Danai and Andy mostly because they're the actors who embody these characters for so long. And I feel like the love and the passion that they put into these characters and wanting this story to happen and wanting this like happy ending or happy for now moment for Rick and Michonne and their family. It seems, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of many shows that have characters who have actors who seem to love their characters so much and respect the fans that
Yes.
love those characters. So, um, thank you to Andy. Thank you to Danai. Is there anything either of
I
you
am gonna
wanted to
cry
say?
again.
Oh no, let's move on.
No,
No.
go ahead.
Okay, we're just gonna move on. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. It's too early, not yet.
It is.
We'll cry at the end.
But no, seriously, it really is a very special thing to be a part of this fandom and a part of a fandom that the people who portray these characters care about them so much. So yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You don't have to, but did you want to say anything, Imani? I mean,
No, I feel like I said that
oh,
back in one of our preview episodes where I was just like, I don't think we've experienced
Yeah.
a ship where the captain is the actor.
Mhm.
We got so lucky.
That he is. My goodness, he is.
And the co-captain is the showrunner, and the co-captain is the other actor. So
yeah, the top three are the most important. The showrunner
Yeah.
and the actors. But okay, so this show, right? This show was always about an epic love story. It was always about Rick and Michonne, and Rick and Michonne finding their way back to each other, or maybe as Imani would say, like Michonne finding Rick.
Or not.
But that's what the show is always about. It was never about Daryl and the rest of the group. I mean, they literally said it every article, every interview. It was love story, love story, love story.
Epic
It
love
ain't
story.
no throuple. It's a love story, like between Brick and Michonne. Like, Daryl is cool, that's fine, but this thing where people wanted to shoehorn all these other things and all these other characters into this story that was about their love. And, we said it in our preview podcast, there's nothing wrong with having a love story within this world. Like, there's never been a time in history where the world was so bad that people stopped falling in love. So I don't
Yeah.
know why people were so against that aspect of it. But I feel like, if maybe Daryl could have reunited if he would have got on that boat and he wouldn't have stayed in France, but he did. So, oh well, Rick and Michelle. But what I mean, I don't know. That was frustrating to me. I just kept hearing that. And I'm just like, were y'all asking where's Michonne? Why isn't Daryl talking about, Eugene or whatever else on, Daryl Dixon? Like, no, it was his show, which I appreciated that he got to have a story by himself in another environment. Like, and I thought it was really cool. And I just felt like this need to try and push him and others into this story that was very specifically, very clearly about Rick and Michonne was just, you want to talk about not getting what the show is about. Forget the CRM aspect of it. It was the whole let's bring everybody else back. Because how is that even going to happen? But that's just my opinion. If anyone wanted to say anything about that or not, before we moved on.
I agree. Honestly, I don't care about Daryl. So
We're going to talk about Daryl on
I'm
our
so glad this focused on Rochelle. That's all I can say.
yes, and we'll talk about Daryl in our final podcast episode where we look back at The Walking Dead. But the other thing we and many people in the fandom were told that this show was not about was the CRM. Okay. I don't know how to look because I think
delicately.
I mean we
I'm
all said it
scared.
before episode. What did you say?
I'm scared of what you're about to say, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that before episode 6 aired, we all were very clear. We wanted to see a reunion with the kids. That's
Yeah.
what was most important to us. And I feel like, everyone, I think for the most part, the majority of people understood this is about Rick and Michonne, right?
Right.
And it was not about the CRM. However, just because the Rashone of it was great, like I just feel like people are not out of bounds to have these opinions and it for it to feel a little lacking when it comes to the CRM story. And I know people are like, well, I didn't come here for the CRM. I don't care about the CRM. I mean, that's fine, but I feel like because I don't like a storyline doesn't mean it's not important or it's not or it doesn't have to be done well just because I don't care for it. And I felt like, okay, so I was watching and I was sending like little screenshots to you guys. I was watching this other YouTube channel and they were talking about this show and it was the reaction and review for episode 6. And I watched all their videos about this series and they had nothing but glowing things to say about it. They loved it. Every episode. I love it. It's great. This is some of the best Walking Dead, we've seen in years, which we've also said. Um, you know, such praise. Thanked the creators and everyone who helped make the show. And then I would say 90-95% of everything that was said about the show was just straight positive.
Mhm.
And then they had the audacity to say that they thought like the CRM story was a little rushed. And there were hundreds of comments. I mean, people just hop, skip, jump, flew, teleported all over the positive things they had to say. And they just
Mhm.
pounced on those, couple little critiques and just went to town. And I was like, wait, I heard them say they liked it. I heard them say that they loved the ending with the family. And I think one of them said something like they wish they would have saw Daryl, but in the same breath also said, but I get what it was about. The show was about Rick and Michonne.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, well, then why are we jumping down their throats when they've acknowledged something, but they just have like a difference. And the comments were like, well, you're confused or you didn't get it. You don't know what this show is about. And it's like, you're obviously, if you don't agree with me, you're obviously confused. Because if you weren't confused, you would agree with me. But I was just like,
Mm.
the CRM storyline. I don't know. Like I know we had a couple of comments, and I think Imani and I had made a comment about not believing that all the people who knew about Beale and his plans were dead.
Mhm.
And someone was like, well, in episode 1, we were told that only 10% knew what was going on and they didn't have the echelon briefing. And so no one else knew. And I was like, I didn't forget that. And I wasn't basing my belief on that. I was basing off of like human behavior. People, the more people know something, it's no longer a secret. People
Right.
don't keep secrets. They don't. And either it's for ego, hey, I know something that you don't know, or it's for acceptance. Like, oh, I feel like an outsider, but if I can share something that'll make me look cool, maybe they'll like me, or to like curry favor or for monetary gain or whatever. Right. And so I just feel like there's just no way no one else knows. And I don't know what this show is going to do. I don't know what AMC or Scott Gimple or whatever they're going to do, but just, thinking about human beings, in America, in the military, in the national security intelligence community, it feels like you can't go a month without someone being arrested or charged with illegally sharing classified information, whether it's on Discord or it's the retired army officer who was sharing classified information with his girlfriend that he met on an internet dating app that he'd never met. And I'm like, sir, you could tell by the way she's talking. This is a Russian like spy. I'm like, are you serious? But people do it all the time. So I just don't, I'm like, no, someone said something. But yeah, the whole thing with the CRM, I just felt like what I really wish, and because we watched The World Beyond too, I wish that whatever CRM issue that Rick and Michonne handled wasn't Portland. I wish it
Mm.
would have been a different storyline because in the world beyond, we know that Jadis kind of connects with a character named Silas who goes into the CRM to train. And so, you know, and then we know there are a couple of characters that were making their way to Portland to warn them. So I think that for me, with the CRM storyline, I wish it hadn't been the Portland story. But Imani, what are your thoughts on CRM?
I agree. I mean, if you're not going to resolve or not, and it doesn't have to be completely resolved, but tie a bow on it. But if you're not going to make moves to resolve that, like it's too big a thing, so it's like a thread that you're going to just let drop, then use, like you said, use a different like issue. Like Jadis by herself could have been the big bad, and her ratting them out to the CRM could have been the issue. And so all it could have been about, spent the 6 episodes trying to neutralize Jadis. That's it. Period. And the rest of it could have been Rishon. It could have been, the two of them, trying to escape and you know, making love and arguing and all sorts of other stuff, and gave all the fans what they wanted, and what the goal was at the end was to stop Jadis before she told CRM about them, and then they escape. Period. End of sense. And then you don't have to get involved with what the CRM is doing and what their 500-year plan is and any of that other stuff. And you can either let it just blow over you and you don't even give a shit what happened, or you can let Scott Gimple like solve that problem, address that issue in a different show. But to create all this intrigue about the CRM starting with the very first episode and then just basically hand wave it at the end is a disservice to people who require more than just the A plot to be resolved. That's it. That's all it is. I mean, again, I'm just a fan fiction writer, but when you're writing a story, there are multiple plots. There's an A plot and a B plot, and sometimes a C plot. And if you're doing a good job, you resolve all of them.
Oh Lord.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you feel
But I don't know anything.
Do you feel like the CRM, like too much, like we put too much stock
Emphasis.
to how big or how important or how impressive or that they
Absolutely.
are?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not gonna, if that is
No. I mean, as fans, do you feel like for me, from what I saw from CRM and other places, it seemed like they were a dominant force, right? And now it seems like, yes, it's Rick and Michonne and they can do anything together. Do you feel like maybe the CRM isn't all that we thought it was, or we were led to believe it is, as far as their strength? And
No, I think that we just didn't. They didn't handle it. They created a huge obstacle that Rick was going to have to like overcome, and Michonne were going to have to overcome, and then just hand wave the way in which they did that. And you could have de-emphasized that. Like you could have used that as you could have you could have still had that really cool thing that happened in episode 1 to show why he couldn't leave, but then pulled back from that like big macro thing to a very micro issue, which was him and Michonne escaping from this organization, and then left the CRM for somebody else to be worried about, which I mean, in some respects, is what they did anyway.
do you think the fact that, because we were told about the A's and the B's, Ashley, do you feel like, I mean, I don't know, how did you feel about the whole A and B thing? Like, do you feel like, okay, because the CRM is supposed to be full of B's, that maybe it's like you kill the top person and then it just kind of all falls apart? Or I don't know, what did you all think of the whole CRM A's and B's stuff.
I don't think it held together in the end. Like, again, I said this, I think, last week. If Thorne was supposed to be an A, it did not show. She was very much showing B tendency. Somebody call her a C minus, and I cracked up. But it just didn't feel like that was all the way it didn't come all the way together for me. Because I remember Jada said in World Beyond that A's were people that they experimented on. And then once we get to this show, it's like A's are people who think for themselves and they're strong and all that stuff. And that seems right if you apply it to Rick. But if you apply it to anybody else that's supposedly an A, it just doesn't hold together. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I think the idea that I think Imani's exactly right. They should have just made Jadis the big bad and not try to make CRM this whole thing. Because I think they could not do it justice in 6 episodes, as well as try to pull together the whole Rashon story. I also just want to say, I think we are at a, I don't know, strange place in fandom, and it's not even just fandom, it's like stan culture at this point, where discourse just can't really exist. Like any attempt at critique is like dismissed as hating. I even saw this like earlier today, I was on Twitter and somebody was talking about Cowboy Carter, and the person who was reviewing it disliked one song. There's 27 songs on that album. And she just like one song. And you
She's
would
a
think she
hater.
called, yes, you would think she called Beyonce everything but a child of God. And it's unfair I don't want to be in a position where no matter what I do, no matter how much love you show, no matter how much money you spend on a thing, like it doesn't matter if you're not fawning over it. I don't think that's healthy. And I don't think it's fair. It's kind of been like an ugly side of this, honestly. Like you were talking about all those people that were responding to the 5% of critique on that other video. It's crazy. And I don't think we would be here if we were talking about the flagship show, because people could find plenty of fault with that and it was fine. But suddenly, because it's Rashon, I don't know, it's just like all the flaws disappeared, even though AMC is still involved, even though Scott Gimple is still involved. God bless him, but Lord knows we had some issues with him previously. So, Rashon made all of that a lot easier to swallow, but that doesn't mean the show is perfect. And I think I wish that was okay to say, instead of everything being dismissed as we're haters who wish we were writing the show.
Yeah, and then if you felt it was perfect for you, that's cool.
That's
Like, here's the
amazing.
thing though. I see like comments, and every time I talk about comments, I'm not talking about in our comment
Right.
section, even though sometimes there's
Some of
I've
y'all.
seen a few in there as well. But I mean just me, period. Like whether it's
General.
Twitter or whether it's other people's YouTube channels or whatever, I see things I disagree with all the time. I've seen things that were factually wrong in our comment section, not an opinion, like it was factually wrong. And I was not like, let me tell you why. I mean, I'm just like, okay, but especially when it's someone's opinion, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, if you liked it, amazing. It is your prerogative to not care about the CRM.
Yeah, totally. Really. I mean, on a fan just watching the show level, we didn't care either. We really did not. But we were just, we're talking about the story aspect of it and understanding why those people who were wanting more and didn't like it, we understand that. We get it. It makes sense.
Can
Because
I just say, if AMC had been willing to finance a show in which there were 6 episodes of Rick and Michonne frolicking across the United States, having sex and killing zombies, I would have still been there for it.
I would have woke up at 3 o'clock for it.
Exactly. So anyone who's thinking that I needed to make myself feel better or for the world to be a better place, I needed the CRM storyline to be resolved, you misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, given the story we were given,
Right.
that I felt personally, in my opinion, it felt like it needed to be resolved. Again, had they just decided, Andy and Danai, to show themselves just running across the country,
That would have been cool.
That would
I
have been
would
pretty
have been
good.
I would have been very
Okay.
happy with it. Rick and
Yeah.
Michonne to America, okay? And you can translate that however you want.
And they just show up at Alexandria at the end. That was
Oh
Exactly.
my
And
gosh.
hug their children.
I would have been
I
fine
would
with
have been
that.
here
That
for it.
would have been
Like, this is the best
crazy,
show
but yes.
ever.
Yes.
But
But they gave us a story and we tried to engage with it. So
yeah,
just do
in all aspects of it.
right.
And in the whole thing about wrapping up the CRM, or like, it's not even that we need it to be resolved. I think it would have been even better if it's not resolved. And
Yeah.
we know because someone had said, you're not going to be able to see that, you see it, but had wrote into us and told us that, you know, all the CRM things to justify people not feeling, fulfilled by it, but all the things were in the world beyond. Like, you can't use the world beyond. That's a whole other show. You can't use
Right.
that to justify why this show and the CRM and this show ended the way it did. And I don't think it's that we needed to end. I just, like, and I don't know. It's Scott Gimple's wish, right, of this like Walking Dead universe, and who knows if it'll happen or not, But even if you had like some kind of scene where there was a group who was preparing for the Portland, mission, and they were like almost like a scout team and they had gone ahead. And so they were not there, or something, or like a post-credit scene. We're so,
Mm-hmm.
we've been so spoiled and conditioned by Marvel. But to see what's gonna happen with the CRM next, right?
Yeah.
I think those people who really were like, no, this show is less than for me because of the CRM story. I think that would have been like sufficient. Or even, someone's like, well, they ran out of money. I'm like, put it in dialogue. Have someone say something in dialogue, and then that's it. But yeah, for us personally, again, it was all about Rashone and them reuniting with their kids. But like we said a few times when we discuss it, we're trying to discuss all aspects of the show. So that's why we understand the whole idea about the CRM story.
Yeah.
So in this show, they somehow managed to quickly make us, you know, if not care about, be interested in the supporting cast, the characters, be it Okafor, be it Nat, even Esteban, even though he didn't get enough time. I would have loved to have seen him come back around.
Aw.
And Thorne. And Imani, I gotta want to start with Thorne. Because I know, like, in the end, it's like a lot of people don't care about Thorne. She's like, whatever. She had bought into the whole, the whole, what's the damn thing called? Briefing, echelon
Echelon
briefing.
briefing.
Mhm.
But I kind of felt bad for her. Not just because she was so far away from home.
Mhm.
And I think about her calling Rick family, and Rick being like, "Mm." And I just felt so bad for her because this was not what she thought it was. That relationship wasn't what she thought it was, even though Andy, in one of those posts in episode 1, like, interview after the episode aired, he said the word family as well. He was like, it morphed into like family. And
Yeah, until he
and
found Michonne, his real family.
yeah. And so I don't know if I want to say the word manipulate, but
He
even the
did.
way,
He
even the way he
did.
kept saying for Okafor,
What?
I'm like, if you say for Okafor
Oh,
one
well.
more freaking time, but go ahead.
Okay, no, that's exactly it. Like, you directed this at me deliberately because you know that this is how I feel. I did not like that. And I
Well,
really felt like we were gonna get
Uh,
at least one small moment where, I mean, he did what he had to do. So please, he
okay.
did what he had to do to get what he needed to get done. But let's not pretend that he did not manipulate her. He did. Um,
But
And
he said she was one of them now. So it wasn't like he was manipulating his family. He was manipulating someone he considered CRM.
well, he started manipulating her as soon as Michonne showed up. So was that when she made the flip from being
I mean,
one of
yes,
them
after she
to
got the briefing, she was one of them, it seemed. I don't know that he had made that calculation at that point, but he was doing so
he was
for,
definitely manipulating her, like, because she I mean getting
She got the
twisted a
briefing
little
in
bit
three,
on the
right?
she got the
Yeah, she got the
briefing.
briefing in three.
Yeah, so he did that. He did the beginnings of that before she got that briefing. He that for Oka, I mean, you have to watch it again. Watch when he shows up at her door to try to get her to come to sponsor Michonne.
Mhm.
Because that was when I started to feel a little bad for her, because I was like, you're really diving into that, for Okafor. I mean, he used even the same tone that he did when he tried to convince Michonne that she would be more skilled at dealing with the 8 walkers, while he dealt with the one walker that was stuck in the windshield. He used the exact same like lilt in his voice. He was just like, Okafor, come on, it's not, don't do it for me. And she was like, okay, I'll do it for you, but I don't understand why. But he was like, no, 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 you're not doing it for me. You're doing it for Okafor. And I was like, what are you doing, dude?
he's
Like, what
trying to
are
separate
you doing?
himself from Dana.
Listen. I understand why he did it,
Mhm.
but justification doesn't stop it from being manipulation.
Hmm.
And he manipulated her. And 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 again, it is what it is. He did what he had to do to protect his wife. But then it made me really sad for her when she later, well, we discussed this before in the episode 3 recap,
Mhm.
when she's later talking to Michonne and she's thinking that she's gonna pull out this gun and shoot Michonne
Yes.
or knife or whatever she was
The
gonna do
knife,
to her,
yeah.
the knife, and Rick was like, "Oh no, you're absolutely not going to. I'm going to kill you before you do that." And I was just like, imagine thinking you're so cool, like in this woman's face who you don't know is his wife. You're like, he's not just my friend. He's my family. Meanwhile, he's got a gun that he's about to pull and shoot you straight in the back. If you even think you're going to hurt this person that you think is just a random woman. Like, again, I wasn't expecting, I just thought that there would be some moment at some point where, like, at the end, when she kind of put two and two together, where
Mhm.
she'd be like, oh, you played me. Like, but there was none of that. There was none of it. And I didn't need it. I just thought we were going to see it, since it was
Mhm.
so, to me, obvious that that was what was happening.
Mhm.
And
Did
so
you
I don't, I mean, it was interesting. And I'm not accustomed to seeing Rick in that light. Like, I don't, he doesn't seem
Mhm.
like a manipulative person to me, but he did.
I think he will do literally anything for his family.
I mean, he ripped out somebody's throat. I mean, yeah, definitely. But I just didn't think that manipulation of that sort was in his wheelhouse. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
without it because we've seen him lie and manipulate before, but it was different.
Yes.
It did felt different with Thorne. Like we saw it when he was with don't start asking me for seasons and episodes, but I mean I mean episodes, but when he was with Morgan and they came across those old
814.
saviors, okay, and he was like, "Oh no, we're not gonna," and then he promptly killed these people,
Yes.
which,
Lied to
and
their
I know
faces.
there were some people who were like upset with that. They were like, "Oh, look, he lied and he whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, no, that was right. Good
Right.
job." And
those are dudes that he knew for like 2 seconds. Said and
Yes,
they were
and
saviors. Like
yes.
this
She
was
said
a
it
woman
was
he had known. This is a
different.
woman he had known for like at this point like 4 years.
Yes, this was
Yes,
it did feel
but
different
it
because
was for Michonne.
it was for Michonne, so it didn't
Again,
matter to
I
him.
don't.
It didn't matter to
I
him.
understand what you're saying. I just don't care because it's Michonne. Like Thorne was getting on my nerves at this point. She's like, "Why are your britches so big? You are not an A." Oh,
First of
okay.
all, she's like 5'2". I'm still over her like trying to push that huge thing. I'm like, you're petite, but I would, and this is probably because there was only 6 episodes.
Hmm.
I was, not only this recognition of you played me, but even an attempt to try to persuade her to, hey, come with me, come with us. Like this ain't it, right?
Mm.
Like I not good. I don't know. I was a little not. I don't want to say I was surprised, but if that had happened, I wouldn't have been like thrown off by it. Like this attempt to try to get to her. What do you think, Ashley?
It just feels like as soon as she got the echelon briefing, and this might be a product of, like you said, not enough time and more episodes it could have been something interesting. But once she got the episode echelon briefing, she had flipped to the other side, and any attempt to kind of massage it any other way would have made her even more suspicious of Rick. So he just didn't. He was like, "Oh well, she's gone. I gotta protect Michelle."
Yeah, I mean, she did because I remember her saying multiple times, which is also weird why he kept saying even in episode 6 for Okafor when she said, "I'm not Okafor." And
Right.
I always took that as it like he's got this like weakness in him that's making him try to change the mission. And
Hmm.
I always took it as her saying, like, this mission is important. Like Okafor is off. He's wrong about trying to stop this. And
Right.
so I mean, maybe she was too far gone. But then, at the end, and she said something about Okafor is right. There are some people who said that when she said Okafor is right, that she was talking about this is interesting because someone said she was saying Okafor was right about Rick. And then some other people said some other things. So, and it was because everyone was confident in what they were saying, and it was all different
Of
about what
course.
she meant. But, that's we're used to not knowing what the heck people are saying because but yeah,
He's
I
not
mean,
people.
she,
Right.
that C minus feels right. I mean, she's just so lost more than anything.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
lost and she's alone in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, maybe it is like whatever sounds good at the moment, whatever is the last thing she hears in her ear. Maybe, but I don't, yeah. I mean, I think there's also that possibility if what would it look like if he did try to convince her?
I just think it's interesting. Again, I think it is a casualty of not having enough runway to tell the portray the nuances of that sort of thing because look at how many people Rick has given multiple chances to, including Jadis herself.
Mm,
Like, I think that we had the runway to portray that this is someone that he knew that he was close friends with. By Andy's admission, unfortunately, we didn't get to actually hear him vocalize it on the show, but he was close friends with at a time at like one of the lowest moments in his life for
Hmm.
4 years, at least 4 years, and he just kind of gave up on her, like for expediency, right? In a situation where I think maybe if we had gotten more runway, you would have gotten to see him at least try, at least make multiple attempts, and maybe the way it played out would have still played out at that point that way because he already knew by that point that she was like beyond saving or whatever, but he never really made an effort to try because again because I think they just didn't have enough room to show that. um because I just don't think that someone that he was good friends with for that long, Rick being the person that we've seen him be, would have just been like, oh, well, you're playing for the other team and, peace out. Like, I think that he would have tried before, like I said, before they got to that point, before they got to the ultimate, like, little showdown in
Mhm.
the, in the space in that yard or whatever. But like before then, he would have tried to feel her out, tried to get a little bit more of a feeling for her. But like I think you're right. I think she was kind of lost and she was looking for something to belong to and a great and a larger plan. Like, I mean, if you think about it, she's trying to explain why she ends up on one side of the world while her family's on another side of the world. And she was just kind of like, well, I've worked it out for myself that in giving up, I allowed myself to become part of something greater. She's looking for a rationalization.
Right. That's what I felt like to me in that moment. I was like,
Yeah, and I think given more time, they would have been able to tease that out a little bit more, and Rick would have probably been able to push back against that a little bit more, but we just didn't have the time for it. So unfortunately, she got the short shrift, and their relationship got the short shrift.
and
Mm.
I think it's like a testament to also to Leslie Ann Brandt and the way she played her, because I
Mm-hmm.
could very much see that character if it was played a different way, making me feel how I felt about Andrea when I met her, when we saw her in season
Absolutely.
1.
Absolutely. I knew you were gonna say Andrea because I was like, yep, Andrea.
Yeah,
100%.
and I think it's just the way that Leslie Ann played it because, yeah, even when she, even when she told him in episode 1, like, that we shit, like, like I was,
Again, she was always a B.
I was not upset with her
She was
for that
all
moment.
in from the beginning.
Even though she got on my nerves with throwing the damn glass, but that moment I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is.
I
I
get
think
you.
that's when writing meets the actor and the
Mhm.
portrayal, because that could have come off like very caustic and very unlikable, whereas it just seemed like a weird quirk
A
in
character
some
moment, yeah.
respects, and also just an interesting. She's just an interesting woman. Like she's like
Mhm.
you said, like she's like, we no, there's no we,
Mhm.
you and I.
In the end, it
Don't
was
speak
only
for
we,
me.
but anyway.
Um,
I'm sad that that's the way her arc went, but I don't know. I wasn't sad for her. She annoyed me so much.
okay. Ashley, you mentioned Okafor earlier.
Yes.
He is like if take out Rick and Michonne, he is
Yep.
my character
Yep.
for this series. Like I and it's I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's just immediately, and it's not gonna be like, ooh, it's cute. Like, no, it's not that. It's just
No, it's
I don't know what it is about that character. It's just I don't know. It just worked. Either of you have any like ideas? Can you vocalize what it was about that character?
I mean, there was a charisma to the portrayal that Craig Tate gave us that immediately what he's doing with Rick. First of all, he's kept Rick alive, so that is part of what draws us to him, but also just the way that he not only keeps him alive, but gives him something to hold on to while he can't have Michonne, and just sort of he is the mission in the first episode. He brings the whole series to life because he gives us this mission statement. And I really had thought about would I have liked him if he hadn't so much, if he hadn't died in the first episode? Like, would that have changed? I don't know. But I think also because it was such a short amount of time we had with him, you just kind of grabbed onto that and was like, wow, that was a great episode for him.
It reminds me of that joke was it Chris Rock's joke? Where he says like a woman knows within the first 5 minutes if she's gonna sleep
Uh,
with you. And it's just like either you're gonna mess it up or you're not. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, if we had more time with him, would he like if we had known the things he'd done? Because you remember he came back with the blood on him and he came,
Right.
so it's like, what was he doing? And maybe if he did, he stuck around longer and we knew some of the stuff that he did, maybe that would have. change things. I don't know. What about
I
you,
don't either.
Imani?
I just found it really moving. Like, I mean, I liked him from before, like from the very first moment where he came up to Rick and was like, "I'm possibly the best friend that you've ever had." Like, and I was just like, "Oh, excuse me, who are you?" And then, but by the time they got to that fight that they had, and then Rick, like, when he pulled the gun on Rick and Rick put the gun to his head and then he pulled it away, but he pulled the gun away with such compassion. I mean, that sounds so weird to say, but
No, it is.
It
Yes.
doesn't.
there was such compassion in that where he was like, "I'm not gonna let you kill yourself, dude. I see something in you and you are made for more, and I'm gonna bring you in. I'm gonna restore some purpose to your life because clearly you're at the point now. I mean, you cut your arm off and stuff. You've done stuff that's clearly reckless. Like you are suicidal, clearly. I'm going to do something to give your life some renewed purpose." And just that in and of itself is like, was very moving and like made Okafor like a great guy. But then also to know that he's a deeply moral guy. I mean, despite the fact that he's doing immoral stuff, but come on, again, we can't get on our high horse. Rick has killed lots of people. Michonne has killed lots of people. We are talking about people who are killers, okay? So, um, he is deeply moral. Like he's a deeply moral guy. He realizes that he's like, I see this echelon briefing, and I know immediately this is not the way to go. I do not want to dismantle the system that is like currently sustaining all these thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, but I know we cannot continue the way we are going. And so what I'm planning to do is basically stack the deck with people who will try to change it from within. Like not
He's wrong
everybody,
about one of them, but
well, but he would have probably brought more people in, like Michonne, like a Dana and that sort of thing. Like he would have built more people into the structure to change it, you know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't have relied on just Rick and Pearl. But and so I just think that he was a very compelling character throughout his very brief like tenure, right?
yeah.
And so and like you said, Ashley, like Craig just did a really, really good job with it too. And he had like the deep bass that gave it all this gravitas and even just the way that he said things like real deliberative, right? Like he was giving on multiple levels, I
So
think.
many levels. I even like the way he said Michonne's name.
It's true.
And I wonder, because he's all about changing the CRM from the inside.
Yep.
What if Dana gets there and he's like, okay, we'll bring her in, but he's like, okay, so you can stay. And they're like, well, no, we have to leave. And how that would have like worked out between them.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
One of these fan fiction writers could take that mantle.
Yeah, I mean, there are two right here.
Two.
What you mean two? What you mean two? What are you talking
Stop
about?
playing.
Guys,
Exactly.
go to Imani and Ashley's Tumblr and
Oh
make
my
any
God.
requests that you like
Or
for
Tanisha's.
Teen Writer 12.
Yes, exactly.
I already have one. I was like,
Why are you playing?
Exactly. Stop playing around.
Okay. Did anyone want to talk about Nat? We talked about Okafor. We talked about Thorn. Nat.
I just wish Nat had taken his butt to
Alexandria. Oh, that would have been amazing if he
That would have been fun. Yeah.
Oh my God, he would have been such a good addition to the whole team family.
Yeah.
Like to their defenses, even like
Seriously.
it makes me so upset that they did. I mean, I to a far, 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 far lesser degree. Like I can't remember their names now.
I couldn't think. I was thinking of them too. I couldn't.
I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
But the other couple, like they would have been too, and I was sad about her and her baby and blah blah blah. But Nat, if she could have just convinced Nat to take his behind to Alexandria,
That would
I
have
like
been
the
nice.
actor too from New Amsterdam, so I already liked him. I was like, let's give him more work
Right.
in the Walking Dead family and let him be in Alexandria doing part of the defense. But
That would have been nice, but Rick wouldn't have had anybody to set up.
Yeah.
to plant evidence on.
Exactly. So,
Oh, very conflict, baby.
but yeah, that would have been great.
I
I wish they would have
guess.
found a way for him to just go ahead and go or something, because
Yeah.
it would have been fun to see him in this,
Or
Walking Dead.
even if we didn't see him, just to know that he was, he was part of Alexandria now.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, I really liked him.
It was a fun character, a very fun character.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad Michonne wasn't through that year. She was sick. I'm very glad she was not alone. That would have been even more devastating. So
Yeah.
yeah.
could you imagine a year just by yourself trying to recoup? Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Favorite, talk about some of your favorite scenes over the series.
Oh Lord.
Well, definitely see in episode 1 the dream sequences A+.
Mhm.
In episode 2, their reunion, it was nice, although I think I preferred when, okay, we talked about this before. I love a secret lovers where they come up from behind you and grab you and pull you into a room. So that was, I love that. I love that. So that was the favorite
Okay.
from 2.
Mhm.
Um, episode 3, um, I'm trying to remember. As much as it made me sad for Pearl, I like that
Mhm.
scene where
You are some kind of hypocrite.
she was in the back. I did actually like that scene a
Insane. Oh
lot.
my God.
Okay.
I did like that scene a lot.
When Thorne almost died. No.
Yeah, when Thorne almost got shot.
She's being played in her face.
I like Rick defending his woman, even though he was playing his friend. Um, and episode 4, I really liked. I liked the moments where they were arguing. I know that sounds bad, but I
They
do.
were funny. I
It's
mean,
They
good.
were, yeah, particularly the one when they meet back up in the hallways and Commando and all that
Mhm.
stuff. Like I like that whole sequence. Like that was really
mhm.
good. I enjoyed that, and it like the humor of it too, like the pathos and the humor of it. Um, episode 5, of course, the what do you call it? The uh gift shop
Mm.
part. That's my favorite part of that. And episode 6, that you might have to come back to me because I don't. And
Okay.
no, it was not. No. I very much enjoyed them getting back together with the children. Yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yes. So I guess yes, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why they don't like you.
You're right. I mean, I don't know why I'm confused about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I'm joking, by the way. Okay, episode 1, the adrenaline of like that last scene with the helicopter coming down, and when it first gets hit and you have no idea what's going on, that was
Mhm.
amazing. And then Michonne, you see her feet. The whole ending scene is one of my, might be my favorite of the show.
Mm.
Maybe. Episode 2, I Am the Same, the stolen moments, the like secret relationship. I really wish we had gotten more of that. But yeah, when he pulls her into the room with the trucks, love that so much. Um, episode episode 3 is after he tells her to go. And he sees her again and he looks
That's fun.
terrified. And then when they finally get to talk and she pulls that helmet off his head, amazing.
Mhm.
So good. Um, episode 4, so many things, but the one thing that I feel like I keep going back to was that kiss in the elevator. It's just so good. The way Michonne's like standing as it's closing, and oh God, I love that. I wish that was like a show in itself. Episode 5, Lord Jadis. I think it's the proposal, but it has been pointed out that Rick actually said, "Will you marry me?" And they dropped that out of the sound for some reason. So it kind of annoys me that that happened. I wish we could have heard that. But still, the proposal was beautiful. And then episode 6, yes, the reunion. No question.
Okay. For me, episode 1 was Rick and Okafor's fight.
Mm.
Episode 2, I'm gonna say it's when Rick and Michonne and Nat, when they reunite in the field or whatever.
Mhm.
Episode 3 was when, same, when she snatched off his helmet and she didn't say one word.
Yes.
I loved it. Episode 4, trying to remember I think it was when they were in the gym.
Mm.
I think that
Mhm.
was one of my favorite
Oh,
of
yeah.
that scene, of that episode, sorry, when they were in the
Mhm.
gym. Episode 5, I'm gonna say when Jadis wakes them up. Just for the humor of it all.
Yeah. The way they're talking about her like she's not there is so funny.
Oh my gosh. In episode 6, I did love the reunion, but
But
also Rick's conversation with Beale right before he kills him. I love that episode.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can I make one amendment? I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Just because you reminded me, Ashley, episode 4, actually my favorite, because just by virtue of how many times I rewound it, was the very last scene when they get into the car and then
Mm.
Rick realizes that it's a stick and he can't drive it. And then they have to switch places and they're
Yes.
kissing while they're
Oh,
switching places.
yes, that
I
was my
rewound that
second.
so many
Yeah.
times and watched it. So
Mm.
that is actually my favorite scene.
Um, okay. What is a take that you still feel strongly about
Mm.
out of all the episodes?
I mean, it's not like it's not like something from a scene or anything. It's just the fact that like people were saying, which episode's going to be your favorite,
Mhm.
and like I I thought from the very first time that I saw episode 1 that episode 1 was gonna be my favorite, and then I thought, and then but everyone was like episode 4, and blah 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 blah, and so I was expecting it to change, but it did not.
Mhm.
Episode 1 is still my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, we know what our favorite episodes are, but yeah, I thought episode 4 would be my favorite, and that's probably part of why it ended up not being like if episode 4 had been a surprise, I think it would have been just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. But y'all
Mm.
just spoiled it.
Mm.
um Not to sound like a broken record, but mine is Jadis. Like she deserved a worse death, no grace, more anger, and I hate her.
Mhm. Mine is that Benjero would not have known who Michonne was.
Why, why are you bringing this back up?
I co-sign. I co-sign that
I
100,000%.
Because first of all, in some of those sketches, she looks like she has beach waves. I mean, they don't look like locks, so how would he see this black woman and okay, see this black woman with these locks and think, oh, that's you, right? And it was on a phone screen that was black. So did Rick tell this man, like, can you please draw my black wife? Like, what
That
purpose?
is what the girls are saying. He told her that his wife was black and she had locks, and he described her to a T. So yes.
Because that's Rick. Because Rick Grimes would describe
Really?
anything to a T. It would take any time. He wouldn't even tell Pajero what his wife's name was for years. But he told this complete stranger that his wife was a black woman.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Because
if
that's
he,
generally what people volunteer. It's like, oh, would you draw a picture of my white husband, Chad, please? I miss him.
I mean, because it was on a
I would like a
it was
likeness
on
of
a
my
black
white husband.
it was on a black screen. Like
They're not gonna cuss me out.
if he if he had like sketched her on something white and he would have had to shade her in, like
Or if it was
okay.
a realistic sketch. I'm
Or
sorry.
right, or if it was a very realistic sketch and those locks looked like her hair looked like locks, maybe. But I mean, I know y'all gonna disagree and okay, but yeah.
I feel like this is the only reason you asked this question.
It is. I just wanted to talk about how I just know that man did not tell Benjiro to
Benjiro.
draw his Nubian queen. I just
Oh my
think
God.
he did.
Oh, Jesus.
You're 100%. That is 100%. I'm with
That's just
you.
me.
No, it's not just
Okay,
you.
not just me. Well, it's me and hater number one. I mean,
Exactly. Wait, am I hater number one? I thought I was hater number two. No, I am hater number
No,
one. You're
you're
No,
number
are you?
one.
I don't know. I'm not hater number one because I don't
No,
smile.
I think I am.
So I feel
Oh,
like,
is that there? Oh my God. Okay.
I look annoyed, you know.
I don't read the comments, so I don't know what y'all been saying, but that's ridiculous. Smile more, really? That's what we're doing?
I'm like, exactly. I'm like, y'all are being men. Wow, maybe y'all are men. I don't know, but you will not take this resting bitch face away from me. Like,
That's insane. Okay. Well,
oh, okay. So what's the take that you've changed your mind on?
um,
Oh,
I
please
will
don't.
say this is not something I've changed my mind on, but I've softened on my feelings about Michonne pulling them out of the helicopter. Like, I thought it was egregious, but I also thought it was a shocking way to end the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like I've come more around to that part of it than the egregious part has like lessened a little bit. So I haven't completely changed my mind, but I've softened on it, is what I can say.
Okay.
Okay, I know. I changed my mind on whether or not I needed a second season.
Mm.
Came into this convinced I needed a second season. Like I just did not know. It didn't matter. It really, to me, it didn't matter what the story was going to be and how it was going to conclude at the end of these 6 episodes. I wanted a second season. I wanted more Rick and more Michonne and whatever it is that they decided to give us.
Mm-hmm.
I now feel as if there was a second season, okay, it feels unnecessary. I would watch it, but it doesn't feel like it's something that needs to happen. I
Um,
feel okay.
yeah, I think I would have to agree with that. I'll not just need a second season. I just did not see a way to wrap up. I didn't see a way to wrap up this story in six
Yeah.
episodes. I thought there was no way it was going to happen. But I mean, they did. I mean, we talked about the whole CRM part of it, but that doesn't change the fact that they were able to tell a full story, which I think even after episode 1, I was like, no, they just there's no way. And so they did tell a full story. And there was a full arc, and that is thanks to Danai primarily, who convinced AMC that we didn't need to wait until episode 4 or 5 for Rick and Michonne to meet up again. I don't know.
What in God's name is this show
how,
going to be about otherwise?
yeah, how that was gonna work. Like, yeah, I don't know how that would have worked. Whew, thank you, Danai.
Again, AMC, they're a problem.
Episode, knowing there's only 6 episodes, like,
Right.
what are you talking about? Yeah, so yeah, I have to agree with that. I didn't think they were gonna be able to wrap up this story, and I
Yeah.
was very pleasantly surprised. Um, and I'm of the opinion that you don't need a second season. Again, if they're gonna do their little, their Walking Dead universe or whatever, it can be another show with another name or I don't know, the third season of Daryl Dixon or whatever it is that they're gonna do, but you don't need a second season like of this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Imani, since we are fresh off of you being hater number one, let's just stick with it for a moment so we can go to something nice and fun after.
Okay.
Episode 5, Rick
Oh God.
proposed
Oh
to
God.
Michonne.
Oh
Oh,
God.
okay.
Didn't I pass on this?
You
What
did.
we-
The last time we talked
But we're
about
talking about the episode. We're talking about the series now. You don't have to go into depth, but just
Well, no. Once I start talking, I'm gonna
no,
talk.
you don't have to. You could just I mean, because you and Ashley are gonna, it will not be an echo chamber next
No, it's not.
podcast.
No, it will
So we're
not.
about to get a little taste of it, but maybe. But no, you didn't really care for the proposal.
Okay. Before, I'm fine with being pilloried, but I at least know why you're gonna pillory me. I did not like the proposal. Here is why, though. I did not like the proposal because I was under the impression from the flagship that this had already happened somewhere in the midst of that. We just were not privy to it. And it felt like this was like another piece of fan service because we didn't get to see it in the original show, that they brought it and showed it to us here. And it felt to me as a viewer of both that show and this show that it somewhat invalidated what was going on in their relationship then. Like that they were more like partners, like boyfriend, girlfriend, like thing happening on the flagship. When I thought after that time jump, they had graduated to like life partners, aka like husband and wife, whether or not it was in name or not, which is part of the reason why I thought she was wearing his ring later on. Like I thought that they might not have had a ceremony, but they were like basically like kind of the way like Maggie and Glenn never had a ceremony. He gave her a ring and then they were husband and wife, right? So I thought that that's what had happened between Rick and Michonne, and so it felt like an invalidation of that to see that happen here now, all these years later. And I also made me wonder why he was calling her his wife in previous episodes because he hadn't even asked her to marry him yet. Not that I think he had any doubt that she was going to say yes and all that great stuff, but they've not gotten to that point in their relationship based on what they're saying now, retroactively. And I didn't like that. I didn't like having not seen it in the flagship, but we didn't see it, and I was okay with that. I don't need to see it now. I didn't need to see it now. I felt like I had gotten over that, and like I said, to see it now all these years later made me feel like it just diminished what I thought they had previously, in my opinion.
It's definitely not mine.
Well, no.
That wasn't bad, hater number one. That wasn't bad. I get it. I get what you're saying.
I mean, I feel like it was just like a matter. It's the difference between being common law married and legally married. Like, yes, they were considering themselves husband and wife previous to this. And I think we did deserve to see him get down on one knee and say, well, we didn't get to hear him say, will you marry me? For whatever reason, maybe because of what Imani just said. But to see her get that proposal, I think like Tanisha said 2 weeks ago, like you're just not used to being pandered to. So it felt weird, but I appreciate it. I want those moments for Michonne.
Yeah,
So
we're definitely going to talk about that next week as far as Michonne and the way she was portrayed and what she got on the flagship show and what she didn't get
we didn't get.
that other people did. And the way
Still want some diamonds. I'm just
things
saying.
were portrayed. Yes, someone mentioned about the ring. We didn't mention the ring. We mentioned the ring.
We did because
In
the person who
episode
wrote
5.
in
I'm like,
mentioned it.
we didn't really like the
Didn't
ring.
love that ring. And from Gabriel, who cares about Gabriel? Anyway.
Yeah. What are some things that you're not criticizing the show for? Because there was only 6 episodes and it was about Rashone and, they don't have any money. They didn't have any money. But what didn't you see that you would have, if, they would have opened backed up the Brinks truck? What would
Heath.
you have wanted to see?
Where is Heath? No mention of Heath.
No Heath. Okay.
I mean, I understand completely if Corey did not want to come back, but you think somebody would have been like, "Oh yeah, Heath was here." I don't know.
Okay. Imani.
I don't know, because like I feel like we got a lot from it. I think it was just more episodes. Like, really, I mean, if they'd had more money, they could have made more episodes, and I think that we would have gotten a lot of the things that we wanted had they had more room to give it to us. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because like all the stuff that we really likes could have had more space to just breathe, like the
exactly.
angst and the stolen moments and things like that. I just feel like it would have been perfect if we had like
And
3 more
seeing
episodes,
more of
maybe.
yeah, I mean, seeing more CR, like seeing more of that world like built out a little bit
And
so
see them
that she
exist in that world before they get whisked away to this whole new mission. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. I in that Civic Republic, I would have wanted to see the protest, what that was about, why they wanted more transparent for CRM. Like, what is it about
right.
the CRM, and what had they been hearing that they feel like they need more transparency? I would have loved to see, like you guys said, Rick and Michonne in there, like in this environment where there's just like, French fry vendors and, like just people chilling and walking around,
Yeah.
a riverfront
Give
view
us
and
more of that AU feeling.
Yeah,
yes, that
exactly.
would have talk about fanfic. That, in Scott Gimple's fanfic, that would have been cool to see that. And, Rick with Rick's dreams and stuff. So
Yeah, that too.
for him to be actually have that, his
Mhm.
dreams, to see the two of them in there, that would have been nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little more
And
Esteban.
speaking of that dream, I like we really went far in the first episode because like there was this whole 5 thing that was present with the 5 pizzas and the 5 years, and that didn't go anywhere. I'm kind of surprised.
I
So
did figure we would have got something about that, what 5 pizzas meant.
yeah. Maybe.
Something to ask them if we ever see them in a con.
Yeah. Don't have people on the spot trying to come up with something that they ain't thought about before. No, don't do that to them.
They must have been thinking something when they said that. Oh, although Scott wrote that
I
episode,
was
so
gonna say
maybe
maybe not.
it's Scott that we need to ask. Like, what the
In my
hell is
mind,
Scott
that is just
doing?
one. They're gonna have another baby, and each person gets a pizza.
I saw somebody tweeted or something that they were like, Michelle's gonna tell the kids that she's pregnant. And I was
Like in the last episode.
yeah.
That would have been good to see. Well, not different, but
That might have been too much
more
for me.
time with the kids. That
Yeah, it looked like they
reunion.
shot a
Especially
picnic,
since
and
they
I'm
shot
like,
it,
why
yeah.
didn't you show it to us? I
I
do
heard-
think the ending was perfect, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted because I wanted the
I heard
picnic, but I'm also like, I like the final shot.
it was it
Nice final shot.
and
Very nice.
Andy said that that like pulling out with them in like that embrace was like ideal, like his dream like little sequence or whatever. But
Yeah.
I thought I saw somebody tweet or something or say that they they didn't have the money to do the green screen. I mean, they did the green screen of the picnic, but to actually
Really?
like I don't know if it's true. I just
I mean,
heard that.
given
I was
that
like,
deer that we got in 712, I completely buy that. But goodness,
Mhm.
how much does it cost? Can we
probably
like
the cost of one of those scenes with Andy's damn hand.
oh, that's one thing I wish we didn't see. I liked it in concept, but Rick not having a hand just bothered me the whole time.
Mhm.
And it's not ableist. It's just it
No.
did it just didn't make any sense. And
Because I questioned if he even knew where he was after he chopped his damn hand off. I'm like, where are you
Exactly.
going? Where are you going?
That's why I said I like it in concept. Him being so desperate, he cut off his hand. But really, what? Where were you going?
someone in response to some silly Jesse crap that was coming up again, someone had tweeted that he cut off Jesse's arm to get away from her, and he cut off his own to get to Michonne. And I was like, I love that, but
This fandom is so
but I
serious.
still wish that he had kept his arm. Because it's true, like
It is true.
he did not follow that thought to
To
its
its logical
logical conclusion. Like, so you can't get away because your arm is locked up. You chop off the arm, but now you're losing so much blood. How far are you going to make it?
And why didn't he try to chop the wire thing first?
I just assumed that maybe he knew that the
Maybe
tensile
it take
strength or something wouldn't give
maybe.
or whatever. Like he didn't
I
have
wish
the
we'd seen him
materials to
try.
do it.
I don't
But
know.
still, like
It was Rick.
you were gonna be losing so much blood. Even if he was able to do exactly what he did, which is cauterize it quick,
Right.
you're gonna be in so much pain and you will have lost so much blood that you're not going to get far. And next thing you know, a walker would be on you if they didn't save you before that happened. Like,
Right. What happened. That was the only way that could have
gosh.
ended. But poor baby.
All right.
but I mean, it speaks to the desperation. He was desperate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we spoke of the ending. And my dream is for Rick to sit on a front porch in a rocking chair and never go anywhere else or do anything else.
He's now
Like,
stay-at-home
that's
dad.
it. Absolutely. Like,
He's the elder statesman of Alexandria.
let him look. They should pack up the kids and go to Civic Republic.
Commonwealth. I mean, CRM. Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
CR.
that's nice.
CR, excuse me. Yes, CR.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I told you what I would like was them to move back to if there's still some buildings in that community to pick everybody up and take them
Oh yeah.
to that community. They only destroyed 2 of the buildings. There were probably other buildings still around, and they said the place was still secure and everything. It was just the people had starved to death. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Wherever that was, yes.
but they had the more skills. Those were people who were like scientists and stuff. They didn't know how to do anything.
but then they wouldn't have any. They need other people.
Well, no, I say grab Alexandria, the Alexandria people, and take them.
Oh,
Yeah, like take
I mean,
everybody.
it seemed like it was very empty. Like they weren't running across many people. And in the 3 that they did run across, I'm not sure how they survived. But
Right.
Which might have mean that it could have been lots of resources there. I mean, they found the tasteful nudes, like a whole thing of them.
That's
How many
true.
years into the apocalypse and they found a whole thing of tasteful nudes
And
and
fake vending
soda in the
machines.
machines and stuff? Come on
Hmm.
now, there's resources.
This is a nice
I
spot.
mean, it's a much lower population out
Yep.
west. So yeah, that area.
Yeah. So now that this show is over, where does this leave you as far as The Walking Dead and the Walking Dead universe, Imani?
In mourning.
That's
Okay.
where I cry.
Because I
Um,
just feel like it's the end of an era for me. I was here for, what is it? October 31st, 2010 for Rick Grimes and him finding his family and he found them. And to me, the story has come to a close. I don't need any more. I don't need to see. I believe that, particularly given that they now have a connection with the CR and stuff, they don't realize it, but they have connections. They're soon to have connections with other places too, like the Commonwealth. Who knows what Morgan's coming from, down in Texas with, so there's going to be there's other communities that they're about to become a part of that might sustain them and stuff like that. So like you said, Rick just needs to sit on a porch somewhere and give directions from his chair,
mhm.
and I don't need to see anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, my barring something amazing wild happening, my Walking Dead journey has kind of come to an end here. So I'm actually feeling kind of melancholy and a little sad.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Ready?
mean, I
I,
am
I wasn't
very
sure if you
happy.
were ready.
No, I am ready. I didn't cry yet. We'll see how this this goes. I mean, basically, it's just what Imani said. I'm very happy with this ending. You know, like we said, we thought we needed a season two, but given how this ended, I don't even want there to be more because this was the happiest ending we could have gotten. And so, I hate for this to be the end of my personal relationship with Rashawn. I don't care about The Walking Dead in general so much at this point, but just the thought of not seeing Rick and Michonne anymore does make me really sad. But this is everything I wanted for them, and I'm really happy to leave them here. So, if they do come back, of course, probably, yeah, I'll be back. But
Yeah.
I hope they don't come back. A very large part of me is just like, please just let them bask in this happiness and, let this be the last image I have of the Grimes family. Cause like I said, I don't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like this is a great spot to, get off the train.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you get a happy ending. Um, and I feel like as far as being like this involved in a show, like I'm not going to be this involved in whatever else comes up next. Like this is a lot. This is too much.
for several reasons.
And it's just like it's like exhausting because you're watching it and you're rewatching and you're reading stuff and you're connecting with people and it's great, but it's also exhausting and it's also like, kind of taken away from, other responsibilities. And I'm way too old to not be, handling responsibilities. Um, but who knows? Like if something comes along, another show comes along that piques my interest is in this world. I'm not saying that I wouldn't give it a shot, depending on what it is, but like, yeah, as far as the way we watched The Walking Dead earlier in its earlier years, and then watching this show, it feels like again, like this is just a good spot to stop. And I don't want to be an ass, but I don't I am not all that concerned about, and I know other people are, and I don't begrudge them that, and it's cool that I know I'm not that interested in a bigger reunion.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And it's just like it just doesn't. I don't know. It's like it just doesn't hit for me. Maybe if
Yeah,
this
this
happened
was
before.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. This was the most emotionally resonant thing for Rick to reunite with his family, his wife
Right.
and kids. So anything else would be sorry, but lesser.
Yeah,
So
well, because that's the thing, right? Like, friends, even ones who are like brothers,
hmm
do
even if
not
they've
have the
shared time.
same standing in a man's life as his
Right.
wife and children. So to act like his friends somehow like that's not the same. That's not, they're
Yeah.
not, it's not even close, or it shouldn't be, or if it is, like, question the marriage, I think. I mean, but then again, you can't listen to me because I've never been married and I ain't trying to be nobody's wife. So forget I said anything.
Question the marriage.
But but it was just like like you said, emotionally, this is it. This was the moment, and I can't see any other moment being as emotional or being as satisfying to see him finally reunite with his wife and to reunite with their kids, for him to meet his son for the first time, for the kids to have their mom back. Like, Michonne going on this damn journey of not knowing where you're going, not knowing if you're going in the right direction.
I mean, it's
I mean,
literally miraculous that
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like an
she found him.
impossible thing that you're about to do. And
Yeah.
she goes full steam ahead. She does it, almost dies, but she gets him, and and they make it and they get back home. And it's like nothing's gonna top that.
Nope.
Nothing's gonna top that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very happy, very thankful that they gave this to us. And I
Yes.
know we weren't horny on Maine and wild and crazy with our enthusiasm, as like some other people were.
I was a
But
little bit on Tumblr. A little bit.
oh, okay.
But that's not Maine to
That's
me.
where you
Well, yeah,
were.
that's not Maine. Like, look, Main Street
Where everybody can
was
see.
woo, and it was hot. I was like,
Ew.
y'all saying this like in public? Like, okay. I'm
I
a
had to log off.
prudish American, so I'm very much have that prudish American instilled
I
in
loved it for
me.
y'all, but yeah,
It's just like,
it was a
wow.
bit much for me.
It
I
was a
was like,
lot.
and you have your real picture of yourself as you're posting this stuff. I was like, oh my goodness. But I am so very happy that we got this. I'm so very happy that as far as I'm concerned, Rick Michonne, got a happily ever after.
Yep.
I don't
Yes.
know what the hell else coming. I'm not paying,
We're
to
not
me,
entertaining any other options.
nothing.
Happily
This is
ever
it.
after.
No.
Nothing else matters after this if it's not happily ever after for Rick and Michonne. Which, why can't you have happily ever after in this world?
We
As
got it.
close to it, yeah, as close to it as we get. I mean, they're still going to some place where, if the solar panels don't work, they don't have no hot water. So it's a rustic happily ever after, but it's still one. They're all together. They were all eating their nuts and berries together. Like they're good.
Yeah, that's why I don't want us any. I mean, Scott Gimp was going to do whatever he does, but I
Yes.
really would just like for this to be it.
So I know
Yeah.
they're having a season 2 Dead City, season 2 Daryl Dixon. And no, Scott talked about, he said they were talking about season 3 of Daryl Dixon. I don't know if that's a go, but they're at least already thinking about it in case they get a go. And then I feel like I imagine there'll be one more,
Mhm.
like
One
wrap
more
it up,
season or one more show?
maybe like one more show
Okay.
where they just like wrap everything up, button it up. But I mean, I don't know.
Maybe that's when they'll conclude the CRM thing. Like maybe they will make the CRM like the big bad of the story, and you know, and then that'll be where it gets all wrapped up. But
Well, because
listen,
they do still have their embeds out there, So,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
still have people out there who is kind of in the know. So it's not the end of the CRM, it's just the end of that 10% or the majority, almost all of them. They're gone. But so there's still potential for that story to happen. But
I just know that Scott likes adhering to the comic, the graphic novel, and I'm reticent to have him do anything more that would
The
make
Walking
him
Dead is over.
that would make him want to
Why would you put that in
adhere
there?
to.
I know, right?
With you.
I'm just saying,
We
like,
are nowhere
I
near
couldn't
the
put it
comics.
past him. So
we were ending on such
to
a good
like
note.
double back into what happened in the comics. Like, no, I think that this is it. I mean, he, like I said, like, or rather, like you said, he did talk about wanting to do his little super friends or whatever. So that might be something that happens. And again, I tend to go to the bad places. So,
well, I hope we talked about Andy loving his character, and
he also loves the things that happen in the graphic novel.
Well, does he love that?
What is going
that
on?
you're talking about?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I hope he loves the character enough to not do that. To sign on
to do all of this and then come back in some other series and kill Rick. I would blow up AMC.
Oh my goodness. Like, you could have just, instead of him getting on a helicopter,
on camera,
could have wrapped it up.
Disclaimer, I am joking. I don't know where AMC is.
Maybe we can like beep or something. Like,
Ashley Jordan has no intention.
Oh my gosh, right. Oh my gosh, this may be why we get in trouble, because we kind of forget, like, this is gonna go out into the world. But no,
But if you don't do it, you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. That's the agreement.
I can't even imagine. That would be, I would feel like this whole experience that we just had was
It'd be like not even a slap. It would be a punch in the face.
Yeah, it was like almost for nothing. Like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that.
Why would you say this? I already have anxiety, and now it's just like,
I'm sorry. I didn't. Well, this is the place. Those are the places my brain goes. Those are the places my brain goes. That's why I'm not a fan of the whole Super Friends, what do you call it, Avengers idea, because I feel like that pulls in the idea that wouldn't it be poignant to end the whole thing in this particular way? Just when I thought I got out, you pull me back in. They pull Rick back into their nonsense, and then some dumbness happens. Like, I don't want it. So,
well, you know what?
Ended here.
I forgot a question.
Yes.
And maybe we can end it on a high note.
Sorry.
Hater number one. She is hater number one. I mean, I was thinking, like, I feel like I'm hater number one, but I'm gonna give it to you. You're
that was a crazy thing to say. Like, why did you?
So a few people took issue with Rick saying to Michonne that she is the love of his life. So let's talk about all the ways and why he is correct, and that Michonne is the love of his life.
Who else would it be?
Huh?
Who else would it be?
Some people thought it was disrespectful to Lori.
Y'all, these are not serious people. Lori didn't even like that man.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that's controversial.
Oh Lord,
God,
I'm trying.
Of course you are.
He's trying to bring us back to how do you get?
Why are you straying from the light? Come back.
I don't live my life in the light. Don't you know
sure
that?
don't, man. I had a cold.
What is going on?
I don't blame Lori for what she did. We can talk
That's
about this.
not
in
what
the
we're
next
that's
talking
not
episode.
what I'm
about, though.
I do
saying.
not
No,
blame Lori for what she did.
Are you talking about with Shane?
Yes.
we're not talking
None
about
of us
that.
do. We're not talking about that.
Okay. But yes, Lori and Rick were having problems. So clearly, I mean, they were going to get divorced. They were on their way to getting divorced. If there had been no zombie apocalypse, I'd have probably put maybe another, maybe 2-3 years on their marriage before.
Not
Maybe.
even that. Yeah.
And definitely, even if they had the baby, I mean, even if she had survived having Judith, their relationship was over.
Yes.
Their relationship was done. Like, he was like, could you just go? You have questions? Herschel has answers. Okay.
He really annoyed me with that. I
he was
mean,
out of pocket.
he really
Oh,
tried
Like,
it.
don't come over here. He was like, Shane's got your answers. Oh, Shane's dead. Ask
You want to
Herschel.
talk? Go to Herschel. Herschel is not her. Like, oh, he annoyed me with
He's
that. But
like,
whatever.
I'm not your
That
husband
was
either.
crazy.
Herschel's not her husband, but neither is he. He was like, no, you had questions about you and your baby. ask, ask Herschel about them. So
He was out of his.
He
Oh
was
my God.
so out of pocket.
he
Oh.
was.
And then he was talking about I was trying to put it back together. Sir, no, you were not.
No. Which is another reason why we can say very safely that Jesse was not no love of his life either. Because Jesse was just Lori Light
Right.
and a symptom of his derangement, his season 5 derangement.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
Oh
about that
my
next
gosh.
week too.
Yes, that's
Many
all.
things to
So
say.
yeah, no. Who else? There was no one else who
That's
could
it.
be the love
It's
of his
Michonne.
life.
I don't know
Michonne.
why people have such a problem with that. It makes complete sense.
And it is completely okay that they he was like people have lives, people have previous relationships. That doesn't mean that it diminishes it in any way just because Michonne is his perfect match. Him and Lori were together for a time. Like we said, it would not have worked either way, but certainly not in this apocalypse life. She was not built for it, and she was going to hold him back. And Michonne is the person who has lifted him up and brought him to the place where he can be who he is. And Lori did so many things that were counterproductive, that were like the whole thing where she asked him, like she literally was like, you have to kill Shane. And then when he did it, she was like, you killed Shane? Like, come on. Y'all can't be serious talking about that's the
Yeah.
love of his life.
Listen,
they weren't for each other. It's okay.
I mean,
Yeah, does it-
and it's not a competition. They don't even exist in the same timeline. He met Michonne after Lori was dead, immediately after Lori was dead, but he met her after. They do not share. There's not even an overlap.
No,
Why?
But even
Why
if
are
there
we
was,
comparing them?
it's
I
okay.
I think it's like this idea that because she was first, she was the
Yeah.
Right.
first wife, that somehow that means your first wife is the love of your life or something. But no, I
Mhm.
mean, it's not even, no disrespect to Lori, but it's not even close. Like,
Right.
I feel like the way Michonne lifted Rick, the respect she had for him, the respect
Immediately.
immediately, the respect she had for everything that was on his shoulders. And she
Mhm.
didn't just, because Lori acknowledged at one point too,
Mhm.
that she was like, oh, y'all, like in season 2, she was like, y'all look to him, and when it doesn't work out, you want to blame him. But
But so does she. That's the thing.
Michonne, yes, but Michonne didn't just understand. She tried to take some of the load off.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And so they were partners. And, there's something to be said for being one less thing someone has to worry about.
Yep.
And how much that can just open you up to focus on these other things, and it always felt like he could breathe when he
Right.
was
And there
around
is
Michonne.
something to be said for having someone not walking behind you, but walking beside you, and
Mhm.
having someone to carry this load with you instead of making the burden heavier.
Mhm.
And that Michonne's the only person who ever really did that for him. Even with Daryl, it was like, we're following your lead and I'm going to help you, but it was
Right.
not co-lead. I am taking this on with you.
Let
And
me
that's
make
who
some
Michonne is.
decisions.
That is his partner.
Let me
Yeah.
make some suggestions. Let me make some decisions. You know, it
Right.
yeah, I don't think it's out of pocket. I don't think it's weird. I think it's correct that
Yeah.
Michonne is the love of his life. I feel like he was loved and supported by her in a way he had never had before.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm very surprised this is a question to anybody because that is so clear.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just to see their relationship in the flagship. Even before she almost died to bring him home to her children, you saw it before. Like you saw, you know, I don't know. Like even though she didn't understand his take and why he wasn't willing to fight the saviors, I felt like she's the only one who did not blame him or look at him differently after, or and again, it was, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even like challenging him, like she challenged him in the barn, and she challenged him when he was, you know, waving the gun around after the fight with Pete. She challenged him
Yep.
with the saviors. You know, it wasn't just like, okay, well, Rick said we're not going to fight, so we're not going to fight.
Right. It
It's like,
was she had her own story and she's like, I have to figure this out for me. And when she did, she was like, let me go back to my man and let's figure out how to get him back on board. It's the same thing she did in this show. Honestly, it was, all right, you are in a place where you can't even see past your own trauma. I'm going to help you get there. That's
Yeah.
that's who she is to him.
Yeah.
And Lori would never. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, no, it's true because I mean, and look at the moments in which he said very clearly to her, or so first he says to her, you know, I don't want to be the leader, but if we can lead together,
Mm-hmm.
then I'd be down for that. And then he's
Yeah.
like, and if something happens to me, you be the leader. You have the capacity to do it. I trust you to move this group on. And then later on, he says, thank you for being the leader. Thank you for taking control of this. I have to be over here at the bridge and I have to do this. Thank you for taking this burden off my back and being the leader to these people. And she's like, no, no, no. And he's like, no, it is. You are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, and it's a transition that they were going through where it's very clear, like from the beginning, she was willing to be his right hand, and then she was willing to be his partner, and then she was willing to take the lead when he could not lead. And I mean, she's just his complement in every way. Like that's what you keep. That's what God bless Scott Gimple for this. That's what they kept showing you is that, and I mean, again, something that we'll talk about in the next episode, but one of the most moving moments for me was the argument in 904, 905 that they have. He has
904.
It is 904, yeah, that he has with Daryl, where they're in the hole and Daryl's like blaming him for the whole thing that's happening with Negan and blah blah blah. And he's saying like all these people, you know, they trust you with all this stuff. And Rick like practically breaks down. He's like, I never told anybody to follow me. And Michonne is the only one who has ever been like, no, I follow you and assist you because I know that you know what you're doing. And I don't blame you because you are human when things don't work out. Everybody else, including Daryl Dixon, is willing to assign blame when things don't work out. Michonne is the only person who was like, okay, we took a hit, but now what are we gonna do?
What's
yeah,
next?
and it was like she was like, I'm following you because I trust you and I believe in you and I believe in what you're
I
doing.
respect you.
As opposed to other people, it was like, I'm following you because I don't want to. I don't want to lead. So
Yeah.
I
And
guess
I want
doing
somebody
this
to tell me
thing.
what to do.
Yeah, I'm just
Exactly.
gonna take your lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who else could it be? Like you said previously, that you said Danai said, like, who else
Mhm.
was it gonna be? If Rick Grimes had a love of his life, who would it be?
I would really like to know. What are
I
you
mean,
talking
that's
about?
that could be the question for this week.
Yeah.
Who would it be?
Who, if not Michonne,
Y'all can't be
who? Right?
serious.
It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea that they came out of nowhere. I've been seeing those arguments today, and I'm just like,
Oh
y'all are
wow.
delusional.
Still.
Still.
I almost feel like this is some kind of, it tells you something about relationships or something, because this idea that this came out of nowhere, I like, is it because there's no dating app, or is people just like hook up and then you kind of just find yourself into a relationship after you've hooked up first? Like, what is it that these two adults were getting to know each other, care for each other, even if they didn't or couldn't voice it when they first began to feel it?
Mhm.
Why does that make you feel like it
It came
came out
out
of
of nowhere.
nowhere and it's
Yeah.
not real?
Y'all need to read some more Friends to Lovers books. I don't know, but
Read
I
the
some
mean,
idea
books,
that this came
period.
out of
I mean,
nowhere.
just read a book
yeah,
or
because it's
something. I don't
like,
know. Because
what do you expect them to be like? They've got this coming out of this place and that coming out of that place, like people claimers and saviors and what do you call it? What are the other people, the terminites and all this stuff? Were they supposed to be humping each other's leg during this time? No, they're accompanying each other through life and having each other's back and helping each other raise this little boy and this little girl. And I mean, they were partners one way or another. They were partners. I mean, and most people say you're supposed to be friends with your lovers before your lovers. So, like, what exactly did you need to see before they got romantically involved? Because you knew that they were always together and they were friends and they supported each other. And like, so what more did you need to see before they kissed each other for you to be like, oh, they're a pair? Because they were always paired off.
Always.
Always. Always paired
Since
off.
which
Michonne showed up, they were always
wasn't
together.
a coincidence, which goes back to, like, storytelling. But I just don't know what else
Here's what I will
you
give
would have to
them,
do.
and this is something we will discuss in the next episode, but I think putting Jesse in the middle of that, and then as soon as she was gone is when Rashone happened, despite the time jump,
Muddle
which,
thing.
yeah, exactly. I think that's part of it, not all of it, because some people are just not bright. But yeah, that's in there. So
So
we'll talk about it.
speaking of next episode, we've said this a few times. We're doing a look back at the Walking Dead flagship show. I don't know how long that episode is gonna last,
We
but we're
have a
gonna
lot
talk
to
about
talk about.
everything. Episode 1 all the way to the end. We're just gonna talk about all the different things, like, maybe I wanted to see Sasha, you know, show her sharpshooter skills. I felt like she was the kind of took Andrea's position as like the sharpshooter, but we didn't really see her get to show those skills. When did Enid and Maggie become close? When they were in Alexandria? So
When
much
did
so.
Maggie and Tara become close?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's one of the most important people in Maggie's world. What are you talking about? Um, and some of the fun things that we enjoyed. Okay. I really, I don't even know if I told you guys this. One of my favorite episodes is Self-Help. Did I tell y'all that? It's one of my favorite episodes.
No.
I
I knew
doubt it because I
Nebraska,
would think
but I
you were
didn't
very
know.
weird.
Well, you already think I'm weird because I think
Yes.
I think season 2 is one of my
Oh, that's true. That is
one of my
odd too.
favorite seasons. I mean, I love season 2. It's I love it.
Girl. Well,
See,
yeah,
look,
we'll talk about it.
This is not an echo chamber. And oh, I cannot wait for you guys to hear Imani's thoughts about Rashone's first "I love you." That's gonna
Oh
be
God.
so yeah, we're next, I guess it'll come out next week. We'll talk about
Give me Ashley. It hasn't even, I haven't even said it
it's
yet.
gonna be a matchup. These two right here, it's
It's
fair
not
and
even the I
balanced.
love you. It is the
I
the other
found
one.
you.
Oh, the
Yes.
I found
Oh.
you. Yes, it's
I
gonna
mean,
be
it is the I
hater
love you kind of, but that's the one I really we gonna scrap.
hater number one versus fair and balance, y'all. I'm just gonna sit back and watch, but we're gonna talk about all things The Walking Dead. Because I'm gonna get mine when I talk about season 2. So
I'm just gonna sit in awe because I don't understand.
I will explain it to you. Come on, there were great things that happened in season 2.
Oh God, that
Next
is
week.
such an overstatement.
Oh my God. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey with the ones who live. We've had so much fun and enjoyed hearing most of your thoughts. In the comments, let us know your episode ranking and how you feel now that all is said and done. And don't forget to join us for our Walking Dead look back next week. See you then.